What's up with it? All the Bulls fans and Cowboy fans of the world. Cause and I know I'm dividing a lot of Bulls fans, but it is what it is. So what I want to talk about today was I saw some people talking real bad about Antonio Blakeney. Now, I mean, I can't really just criticize them too bad because they probably just don't know. Like sometimes you hear about a player off the bench or a player who's been in the G League or wherever they've been, undrafted, and you just be like, okay, they probably garbage. That's why they weren't drafted. That's why. But you got to understand, a lot of garbage people get drafted every year. Like second round is littered with a bunch of people who are not in the NBA no more. You know what I mean? So it's not as if the decisions are always the right decisions. There are plenty of undrafted players who are, you know, making a living in the league. So it's funny that like I guess they were assuming that he'd been in the league 2 or 3 years or something. I don't know what it was. But I think Antonio Blakeney played like 10 games, maybe not even 10. But it's a very small sample size. Just like I mean, a lot less than Levine, but like Levine in a way. So you know, you look at his stats, and you can clearly see for a rookie, even if he played in 5 games, whatever, how many games he played for a rookie, he performed to the level that was asked to perform at. You know what I mean? You only can play as many minutes as the coach puts you out there. So you can only perform in those minutes. Like to expect him to average more than 8 points a game off the bench, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of ridiculous. So if we can get him to average 8 to 10 points a game off the bench this year, like I don't know if people understand or comprehend how beneficial that could be to a team, but every team doesn't have a guy coming off the bench putting up 10 points a game, especially when you're doing that with a guy like Bobby Portis, who's already averaging, 13 a game off the bench. Then you got a guy like Denzel Valentine who's off the bench. He might put in 6 points a game. Now you're starting to add up your bench points, and with a good starting five like we got, I mean, what do you really want Antonio Blakeney to be? 39 points a game in the G League, that's what he was asked to do. He did it. He outperformed it very much so. So I guess I'm just saying I think it's probably best to just wait till the season kicks off before we start labeling players as busts and garbage. A lot like with Denzel Valentine. Because I'm gonna get on to him next. Denzel Valentine, his game is predicated for the NBA for organized basketball. So when y'all see him get did by some guy in whatever you call it, Drew League or Street Ball League or whatever, if it's not the NBA, because that's a different stage. When you see a player perform on the NBA stage, that's him performing on the NBA stage. Now you may see a street baller give him the blues. You know what I mean? You might see a street baller in his arena. You may see a street baller do that to a guy. How many street ballers have you seen leave the streets and then come into the NBA and play that same style of basketball? Because it's not the same style of basketball. So yeah, you're gonna make a guy look real bad out there. It's easy to do that. That same guy, I wouldn't trade for him. I'm sorry, I wouldn't trade for that guy because they don't offer the same skill set. And on NBA teams, it's better if, well, a lot of times it's better to just have players who are interchangeable, but also some just set skill players. You know what I mean? You need a set off the screen shooter. Denzel's become a shooter. You know what I mean? He shot the best percentage on the team. So if that guy can come to the NBA and shoot 38% from 3-point line, and he probably could keep a job in the NBA. So let's see him do it, and I hope he does do it. But to say that because he did that to Denzel Valentine, that Denzel Valentine is garbage, and he's not great by any means. He's a poor man's James Harden, like real poor man's James Harden. You know what I mean? He's gonna pass the ball. He likes to pass. He likes to make fancy passes. He wants to run the offense a little bit, and he's gonna shoot the ball. He's gonna come off screens and he's gonna shoot threes, and he shoots some long threes. You know what I'm saying? He looked pretty good shooting threes last year. So he's a set kind of one of those skill position players that kind of just is a role player. But off the bench, I think you know, I think we're gonna like what we see out of Denzel this year, especially if he's improving. And he's improved every year. That's all you can ask for your players is for them to improve. You know. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about those two players. And I think they're incredibly important to the success this year that we have. And in the future, I mean, our whole team is young. Like these guys are all really young and growing together and competing with each other. I mean, it's gonna be an exciting year. Last year was fun to watch. Maybe some people like it was horrible for some people. For me, it was fun. I know like people be like, it was awful. We lost and we lost. I know we lost. We won the year before that. Like we went to the playoffs. That was awful. When they had D Wade and Ron, that was awful. Especially when Rondo went down because it started looking iffy and it was like, oh maybe no, that would never work. Anyway, it wouldn't work. You know what I mean? Like, and it was something that like ripping the band-aid off real fast. It's kind of what they did. They ripped the band-aid off really fast, got it over with, and they were able to prosper by getting, what I think is going to be three all-stars. We're going to see. But all-star caliber players, that's all they have to be. I mean, we can just have three all-star caliber players. Maybe they're not making an all-star game because they're spreading the wealth. Like, we got some talent on the team, even on the bench. So, and, defensively, I think we're gonna be better. Laurie Markkinen showed flashes, and Wendell Carter showed a lot of flashes. If he's the starter, I think we're gonna automatically be better defensively, especially with Chris Dunn steady developing and getting better. I think he's gonna be the Kawhi Leonard of guards. You know what I mean? He's gonna be the Kawhi Leonard of backcourts. Don't worry about that. He's gonna lock your guy up. He's gonna make it hard for him. It's hard money. We call him hard money Chris. Coins. But yeah, that's mostly all I had to say about it, man. As far as the defense goes, I won't worry about it too much. They even changing the defensive scheme, so you don't know what their defense is going to look like. But you know their offense is going to be a little more explosive, probably a lot more explosive. But I'm excited to see it. If you got the money, bet on those Vegas odds. 27 wins. We tanked last year. We admittedly tanked as best we could. There still is that moniker too good to tank. That's what they were last year. They had to sit Chris Dunn because he was not going to go out and lose. And you saw it in a lot of those games. You saw a lot of those games. He wouldn't lose. Why won't you just lose? We don't need to win. We good. Just lose this game. And I was excited about seeing the young talent develop. And I was glad they traded Jerry and Grant. So glad. Jerry Grant was not. I don't understand what he was doing. I don't know how he got picked as high as he got picked because, like I guess some people go to the NBA and they lose confidence or I don't know. Maybe they don't work hard. I don't know what it is, but he wasn't. It was one of those things. It was like when they traded him, I was like, okay, they know what they're doing. Like to see David Nwaba go, it's not really ideal, but I think it was one of those things. If they wanted Jabari Parker, it's one of those things. So, you know, what you gonna do? I say you should have got rid of Cameron Payne some way, but I'm not a GM and I don't know how that money moves. So maybe that's why Cameron Payne is still on the team. I think the bench should be Antonio Blakeney starting at point guard. I mean, you know what I mean. He's the first point guard off the bench. Uh, and the rest of the game: Hutchinson, Valentine, Portis, I guess Felicio, and if they can make a move with Lopez and Holiday, if people want them, I think they should make a move. But I don't see them finding real big suitors. Like unless somebody's big man goes down, I don't see that happening. So I'm excited. I'm excited because we 12 deep. Even though we probably never gonna play 12 players, we can use that 12 deep thing to rest Jabari Parker some games, let him play only 60 games, 62 games, something like that. Rest Zach Levine 10, 12 games a year, or at least this year. And You know, maybe Laura Markin, give him some rest too. You know, everybody gets the rest. We got three capable big men and a team full of guys who can play anyway. You know what I mean? Those other guys can play. And they're going to see this year. But if you got the money, the Vegas odds is 27 games. Oh, man. Oh, that is just easy money. That is the easiest money. After, I'm sure it's the easiest money after. But that's all I got to say today, man. Don't hate on guys till you see the guys this year. They're still young and developing. Like everybody thinks they know. You know, Zach LaVine's improved every year. Every year he's been in the league. So to think his defense will never improve would be kind of just naive, I guess. Like, why would you assume a guy would never, that athletic, would never ever be better on defense? Like with Steph Curry, he's probably never going to be a great defender because he's just not that fast. He's not that quick. He's small. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have the tools at all to be a great defender. So you understand that. With Zach LaVine, you know, that can happen. That can still happen. He can become a capable defender. And his offensive game, you know, whether people believe it or not, it can be on the level of a Stephen Curry or, you know, at least a Klay Thompson. So we'll see. This year is gonna be a big year because these guys are all kind of, most of them are kind of in a place where growth is expected. You know, development is expected. Like Jabari Parker looked kind of stiff, but he was coming off injury and he was trying to get back to the flow. In the playoffs, he looked better, and I think with the Bulls, he'll look even better. You know, with a better coach, in my opinion. Get off Hoiberg. Get off Hoiberg. I seen last year that was too good to tank. Get off Hoiberg, and he had how many different lineups? At least 20, probably, right? At least 20 different lineups, probably, right? Starting lineups, right? Okay. So, yeah, I think Hoiberg's gonna be all right with stable talent. Yeah, I think we're gonna be okay. I'm predicting over 50 wins, and if they do it, like you don't have to congratulate me, just congratulate them because they balling. Like we got some hoopers, man. I'm happy to have them because it's been a long time. Like even when we had Ben Gordon, them that wasn't real. That's Ben Gordon. That dude like 6'3", man. He's never gonna be your leading scorer, and you like gonna win something. Then we had Derrick Rose. He has no help at all. At all. Joakim Noah was not help offensively. He was help defensively. He didn't really have no help. You know, when Jimmy Butler came, tragedy struck. So it's good to see a complete team with promise, future. You know what I'm saying? Ahead of them. You know, and a coach that's willing to, you know, develop those guys because we've had coaches that weren't willing. So a coach that's willing to develop them and guys to develop. And that's up and down the roster. That's like the whole roster, really. You know what I'm saying? Felicio has more promise than people give him credit for. I don't know, unless he's just old. I thought he was young. So yeah, and I thought he was young to the game too. So let's give him this year. This year. You know what I mean? Cameron Payne, if he shows something this year, and they haven't traded him, because Cameron Payne, Robin Lopez, and Justin Holiday, maybe a second round pick too. That might can get you a first round pick from somebody. Mm-hmm.